Hi, this is Jason Tushman back here with Playing Offense on Practice Management. Today I feel very fortunate to have my good friend and one of my, what I consider business partners, Dr. Adam Rubinstein on the phone from Aventura, Florida, also known as Miami, Florida. Adam, thanks for coming on with us.
It's my pleasure. And if you hear any noises in the background, it's either one of my dogs or one of my children who are, I consider, pretty much the same. So I apologize in advance if anybody comes busting in the room.
Yeah, we're all dealing with that. Today's March 30th, 2020. Kind of a perfect time to start this series from certain perspectives. We're about a week and a half into the impact of COVID-19 on the world, and hopefully everybody's making it through it as effectively and productively as possible, given the health issues at hand. Adam, one of the things that you and I talked about a little bit, and kind of I think a lot of our relationship professionally was founded on it, is the marketing aspect of practice management. A lot started with social media. It's gone into public relations and things like that. Could you give everybody a little bit of a background on, brief update or brief background on your medical experience and how you got to where you are today, but also how you have some interesting and unique experience from a broadcasting perspective and things like that that I think, definitely give you a unique perspective on marketing in general, more or less, in the world of medical marketing?
Well, I'm in my 17th or 18th year of practice in plastic surgery, focusing primarily on cosmetic surgery, and have been focusing on that for the majority of my career. I started out just like everybody else, and humped it in emergency rooms and really busted my ass to get things going, but very quickly realized that you really have to dedicate to one or the other. It's hard to run a practice that is concentrated both on reconstructive surgery and cosmetic surgery. Problem being is when you're on call, and this is when I had my epiphany. I was in an emergency room at 2 or 3 in the morning sewing somebody up, and I had a facelift the next morning. I said, man, this is not fair to my facelift patient. I actually ended up postponing that case a little later in the day.
Yeah, I never heard that story. That makes sense.
Yeah, so I just said, look, I gotta pick one or the other, and I've been really concentrating on cosmetic surgery for the majority of my career. Broadcast-wise, I've always been involved in media. Even in college, I had a radio background. Earlier in my career in plastic surgery, I hosted a radio show, a live show that was done once a week. Hosted that show for, I want to say, 3 years. Every week on Saturday, I think it was 1 to 2 or 12 to, I think it was 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock live.
Yeah, you got to get your catch line there, yeah.
That show was called New Reflections, and New Reflections was really a fun project, and we really got a lot of good stuff out there. And it was a reasonable marketing piece. Throughout my career, I've tried to keep my eye on the horizon and make sure that we're staying as cutting edge as we can. Some of the recent stuff that we've evolved to, social media has changed everything, because, where I was doing radio and was internet-based radio at the time, we had lots of listeners, and we can get listeners from around the world. Social media allows pretty much anybody to be their own media expert. You can do your own show of any kind on social media if you're motivated and have the resources. So it also changed the way that practices, medical practices, are viewed, and where the way people look to find a doctor and look to vet different medical practices, especially in cosmetic surgery, how they're thinking about choosing somebody. So it really has changed the game. In more traditional media, I've done a lot of TV appearances. We do a good amount of public relations work. And I'm also working on a TV show right now. So we kind of run the gamut of different types of media to work with. Social media kind of really is the anchor of everything right now.
So, when I look at that, Adam, look, you understand kind of the art and science behind marketing and specifically social media. You have a big following at 50,000 plus, true followers, real followers on Instagram. I think they look for your message. you're kind of the textbook study of how to do this, being authentic, delivering a message consistently, being true to yourself. And I think it's paid off well, obviously. When you look at somebody today, your peers today, what would you tell them their marketing priorities are in the current situation with COVID-19? And maybe break that up into elective healthcare / cosmetic or aesthetics, and then even third-party reimbursed practices and independent practices that are out there struggling with what to do right now in the marketing landscape with their patients and this issue of COVID-19.
Well, in the face of coronavirus, this whole crisis that we're dealing with, I don't know that it matters a whole lot what your practice background is, because everything's kind of been leveled. There's some tactics that you can take, but I think the first thing everyone should do is use social media to communicate to your patient base, to anyone who follows you. It's a good time to get good information out there. I mean, you really gave the blueprint. I think being authentic is key. You want to find the tone of your message, and that should be consistent through everything that you do. I mean, the flavor of your website, about any of the collateral material that you put out, if you have brochures, if you do any ads, any advertising, whether it's radio, TV, print, you want the flavor of everything to be consistent, and you have to have a tone, a tone of the practice. So I think for me, I've always tried to keep that very professional and informative. I'm not the guy that's going to dance around wearing a crown and a cape for the entertainment of my followers. And that works for some people, and that's okay. It's not my bag, and it never will be. And we may do some.
It's my
stuff.
bag.
Yeah, I think you do it. We may do some goofy stuff just to get off the beaten path a little bit. Do stuff that's entertaining. And I have many colleagues that do incredibly engaging, entertaining, funny stuff that people love to watch, that frankly go viral and do better than the content that I put out there.
Yeah.
But I have to be true to the stuff that we produce, and anything that I make, it's got to be something I feel good about, and it reflects my personality and the tone of the practice. So I think right now with COVID-19, everybody has the opportunity to put out the useful information to your followers, to your patients, about the virus, about the treatment options, about being tested. We've put out, 3-4 videos. I think we're posting another one today or tomorrow on the whole COVID-19 thing. And then similar things. We did a post about Netflix options. We've got some things brewing, like books to read. And think about engaging. You want to get your followers to join in the conversation. And the most important thing is get messages out there you believe in, that you feel good about, and be consistent.
So, along those lines, when you look at running your business and the infrastructure you need and how you manage your time and your personnel to get these messages out there, I feel like that's something that your peers really struggle with a lot. A lot of them have this daunting perception of what it takes to get these messages out as consistently as you do, as professionally as you do. And I'll be frank, you've helped me figure out how to set up some of my infrastructure from the time that we've spent together, as I've watched and seen what you do. If you could tell somebody that's not involved with their social media right now and needs to do it because of the urgency of what's going on with COVID-19 and helping their business communicate with their patients, what's some of the infrastructure techniques that you would talk to them about, or that they need to think about setting up starting from scratch in regards to get social media messaging out there for their business?
Well, when you talk about social media, there are lots of options. You've got Instagram is the granddaddy, right? You've got to be on Instagram. You have to start an account if you don't have one. Just begin. Everyone starts somewhere, and wherever you start, you're going to grow from there. So you must start in Instagram. You've got to have some kind of presence there. There's also Facebook, which most people were in for a while now, and you can use messaging there too. I do Snapchat, although Snapchat is a little bit more difficult to manage. I don't think that's that important. I think it's a good tool if you're able to do it, and it's not that hard to share information on both. But if I had to prioritize, I'd say Instagram is the number one. Facebook is the number two. Snapchat, I would say probably is number three in terms of importance because it has better reach than some of the others. There's now TikTok, and I struggle with TikTok. I haven't delved into TikTok so much because they're geared towards musical videos that are really short. They're 15-second videos, and now you can extend them a little bit longer. But the style of those TikTok videos are all meant to be funny and kitschy and entertaining and short, and it doesn't jive. And this kind of speaks to being true to yourself. TikTok videos, I haven't quite figured out how to make them jive with the tone of what I like to do. So we haven't gone there yet. I have a TikTok account, but I've never posted anything. Because I also worry that the average user in TikTok is about 14 years old. It's a little young for the business that I'm in. So I'm not sure.
I think it's it's kind of that pure 100% entertainment, young entertainment. I have a TikTok account, and I just see that my 7-year-old keeps getting a hold of it. So I have not been able to figure it out. And I tried to do a dance with my 19-year-old Saturday night as we were all quarantined, and thank God that didn't get out in public. So,
it's good. It's good. But that's fun, kitschy stuff that you can put out there. And now it's like if I wanted to put something out on TikTok and say, we're going crazy with COVID-19.
Yeah, you could come up with a message. That's true.
Kind of nonsense, put it out there. You can do that, right? And I have colleagues that are putting out. Usually it's stuff like that, like a good friend of mine, Dr. Matt Schulman, who was one of the early adapters of Snapchat, had a tremendous following of Snapchat. He now has a very big following in TikTok because he was early adopting in that as well. And he puts out just kitschy stuff, and he just put out a video with, I think it's his daughter, dyeing a portion of his beard and his hair pink.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's great. That's great.
It's kind of fun.
How do you have your team set up to get this done, Adam? How do you have, who's taking the video, who's publishing it? How have you set up your infrastructure? Because, it always appears as if so much is getting done. And, if you could talk about the personnel you have set up and then your thoughts on syndication, how you're taking a piece of content, leveraging it across these different channels to help get your messages out.
Yeah, I think to begin with, you don't have to have a big infrastructure to do this stuff. That's the beauty of it. I'll tell you, the person I was just talking about, Matt Schulman, he does the vast majority of it by himself. And, now you got extra time, so it's easy to put stuff out there. Got another good friend who's really killing it in social media and is kind of an example of staying true to yourself while still being entertaining is Chris Subio. And Subio is a very talented artist. He draws cartoons. He actually, during the COVID-19, one thing that he's found that he does is do Instagram Lives where he teaches drawing classes. And he'll pick a subject and teach everybody how to draw. Yeah, he did.
That's neat. That's wonderful.
What the hell's the name of that guy? The Tiger King, Lion. What's the name of the
Lion King?
No, not the Lion King. It's shit. I can't remember the name of the guy, but it's this now very popular show on Netflix. I watched one episode. It's the guy that has all the cats in a public museum. He does shows. Anyway, it's this big viral show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I can't remember the name of the guy. It's the something King. It could be the Tiger King, something like that. But anyone watching this knows who the hell I'm talking about. I'm having a senior moment. But the guy's like a viral sensation, and he did a little drawing of that guy with a tiger, and that is something that you can do. Use your talents and put it out there in this time to be entertaining and fun. You don't have to have a team, but I think if you're going to be consistent, if you have the budget and the means to afford having an employee that does this, I think we took a big step forward the day that I decided that I was going to hire someone to help with social media content production. And in my case, we do almost exclusively video production.
Yep.
So it needed a particular skill set. And, I can do video editing myself, but it's very time consuming.
Yeah.
So it's not a great use of your time. The simple stuff, just putting out quick little snaps, little clips in Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, producing things or reposting things in Facebook, you can do all that yourself.
And you have part-time people on site, right? I mean, your video people historically have been part-time people, strategically placed near you. and they come on site for a couple hours. You've got a plan for what you want to get done, and they're there almost like a SWAT team, in and out, and it doesn't disrupt your day a lot, and you get done what you need to get done.
Well, that's how we started, and then it really took a life of its own, and a lot of my followers like to see my live surgery, and we do that every day.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a nurse in the room or some other assistant in the room that is very facile with it and can easily take the clips and send them out, that's great. I've found that we produce a lot of content in the operating room too. High quality video. We make other features out of it. We use it for many purposes. So I very quickly transitioned to basically hiring the guy that I originally hired, that we hired part-time, within, 2 or 3 months, really became a full-time employee.
Yeah.
And he is not in the office all the time. He does edit from home, and that gives him the liberty to use a big fancy editing deck that he has all the equipment at home. It doesn't require me to provide that for him, although we do have computers and we have our own cameras and all kinds of videoing equipment that we've acquired through the time. Simple answer: start yourself, do what you can, get good little clips. You can do selfie videos and really make them good. And you can also use the forward-facing camera to take interesting photos, clips, and put them out there. Just make sure it is consistent with who you are and the image you're trying to project.
Yeah.
And then as things go on, then you can start getting more involved in producing better content. And when you do delve into video, and by the way, I think video is absolutely where you need to be. It's search results now do index videos, and video content on websites has tremendous SEO advantage. The audio tracks of video are already being crawled, so to speak. So I think pretty soon videos
you're getting a 2-for-1 with video. You're getting the audio, really 3-for-1, right? You're going to get the audio. You're getting the video, the audio, and the written. So
right. Well, the written is just the transcription of the audio, right? So I think that's really where you want to be in terms of producing content. You can double and triple dip your content too with minor alterations by putting it out. And stuff that I put out on Instagram, we'll frequently post as well in Facebook. We have it on our website, and then we'll optimize it sometimes. And this is where having someone that does video editing is really useful. The format of video for Instagram is one thing. You might want to make it slightly different, but you could use the same format for Facebook. You want to use probably a different format in your website, and you definitely should be using a different format altogether for YouTube, just so that when you present this stuff and people watch it, it has the highest quality available. Just talking about aspect ratios of the video you're shooting, but having someone that does that full time, it's very easy because he can crank out different renderings of the same video in different formats, and use it for different purposes. So we try and maximize the use of all the content, and I produce a lot of content. There's really no limit. You can do as much as you can think of.
Yeah, absolutely. Last question. COVID-19, social media marketing, all the technology that's available to us as business owners to market ourselves better. How does marketing change for your practice and for other practices for your peers as we come out of COVID-19?
Well, I think I want to say something about while we're in it. Of course, I talked about being true to yourself and getting good messaging out there, helping your patients, getting good information. Be very, very careful about any kind of marketing you do for sales of the kind of stuff that we do, because I think it's a little tone deaf when people are dying and the whole world is struggling with a virus that we don't have a clear treatment for, to be hawking, breast augmentations and facelifts. So while that's the business that we're in.
And I think I'm saying, it's a great point, as a communication channel, how does it change?
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from. I'm just cautioning anyone who's watching this. I think there's things you can do, but you want to really make it softer of a message than you might otherwise do, because if you come out strong, even saying, in this terrible, I see a lot of people, well, first of all, the worst thing you can do is offer services now, and that's just common sense, right?
Yeah.
The worst thing you can do is say, hey, come for your Botox, we're doing a COVID-19 injection party, right? That's just asinine, and you would think common sense would tell you no one would be doing it.
As smart as the guy up in Jersey last weekend who had a COVID-19 party.
Well, there you go. I mean, you look around and you're not the only one. There's people doing it.
Unbelievable.
That's just the dumbest thing you could possibly do, and it's socially irresponsible, and it's actually endangering all the people that are coming to that,
100%.
as well as yourself. So be that as it may, I think we all understand, don't do that kind of a stupid thing. But just in the messaging, which you could have the greatest of intentions, be careful and soft in how you put it forward, because you might say, well, times are tough. People are worried about their money. And, of course, as a business, you're worried about your own cash flow. So you want to go out there and offer incentives for people to looking forward to book kind of open-ended bookings and say, when this all lifts, then I know I want to have my breast augmentation. Here's a deposit. And in exchange, a lot of practices are offering discounts on their usual fees in order to get some kind of revenue coming in. But you want to be very careful and not make it a hard sell. Don't push it out there too strong, because I really do believe it's kind of tone deaf with what's going on.
Yeah.
Having said that, I think you do have an opportunity to communicate and to market really in just building your brand.
100%.
You can hurt your brand by putting out these stupid things like a COVID-19 Botox party. You can hurt your brand by looking like you're talking about aesthetic surgery too much in a time when the world has bigger fish to fry. But you can also help your brand by putting out positivity, putting out good information, and people will remember that. That helps your brand, and it's the right thing to do. It helps the community. So do things now that can be positive and pitch in. I mentioned we've done some COVID-19 posts. One of them was just, hey, there's good things that are coming out of this. Bear in mind, this sucks for everybody, and it's terrible for those who are suffering with the disease, but the disease has an end. And when we get to the other side of it, there's some positive things coming out of it. Like air quality over Los Angeles has gotten way better.
Yep.
The smog is way down because we're not driving.
Yep.
Same thing is true over northern Italy, over China. I mean, all these things are happening where the environment is cleaning itself up because we're giving the earth a break. Yeah. That's a positive message. Saying, look, this all sucks, but when we come out of here, we're going to have a more beautiful, healthy planet. And, let's all get through this together. Togetherness is a great message to put out there. So I think you do need to have a presence. You can't just sit back and then jump back on board when everything's gone by. Be consistent in your messaging. Be constant in your messaging. Make sure you're out there putting it out there. Be careful what your messaging is. Be true to your brand, and just be a good citizen. Put out messaging that helps people. And then in the end, when this all clears up, then you can start marketing more aggressively, really the services in specific, when we're able to provide them. And right now is the time for us to come together, and your brand will benefit way more with positivity and nurturing in this really difficult time than any message about a discount on surgery or injectables.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to end this. And, I think that the technology that's available to us, to me, I use the word marketing channel, but to me, whether it's social media, the written word today that's out there, your ability today to own your brand, own your own advertising, own your own public relations as a business owner, as a doctor, whether you're a podiatrist or a plastic surgeon, is an amazing, amazing opportunity to be able to deliver the right message at the right time to the right audience. And it's a lot easier than it looks. And what I like about where we're at right now is I think it's going to bring a lot of your peers into the adoption game, which is ultimately going to be better for the patients, ultimately be better for them as their business owners. And I think it's a very positive thing to look at. One thing I do want to conclude on, I know you've got a special effort that you're doing with respect to ventilators. Do you want to let everybody know about that real quick?
Yeah, thanks for that, Jason. I launched and this is a good example of just trying to do the right thing. I launched a program called Take a Breather, which is focusing on generating a list of ventilators who are in doctors' offices, office operating rooms, ambulatory surgery centers, and obviously in our business they're not being used. So we're getting a list of all those ventilators like mine that are sitting in an empty operating room that could be used to save someone's life. And as we get this list collated, we're contacting state emergency management teams to make them aware that we have some ventilators within their state that can help, and that's a growing list. So if you have a ventilator, if you have PPE that you'd like to donate, you can you can email shareventilators@gmail.com. On my website, we have there's a link to the link I'm going to tell you. You can go to my website, look up for the COVID-19 page, and you'll get this link. But the link is it's a bit.ly, so it's bit.ly/share ventilators. And if you go to that, you'll be linked to the main page. There's sort of a clearinghouse database that has been designed, is already in effect. You can enter your information about the ventilators and other PPE you may have available, and it gets put onto the big master list. And should it be needed to help save someone's life, then we or the state agency will be contacting you and take it from there. We're also providing a template contract that could be used to ensure, you understand what the benefits are and ensure that the machine is returned to you. There's lots of options there. So you do have protections in loaning your equipment out. And, for me, it was a no-brainer. If I can't operate, this is something that, to me, even if I could operate and there's someone down the street that's going to die if I do my operation, but they'll live if I give them my ventilator,
it's a no-brainer.
There's no thought there.
Yeah, fantastic idea. It's a great idea, and I know we're going to try to help you get that message out there as much as possible. Adam, thanks for your time. Enjoy your time at the home, and I know we'll talk in the next day or so. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, like we usually do. Thanks, Jason. I'm
Right.
happy to be on. And, outside of this, if I can offer any advice or help or, bounce off some idea for social media or other types of reach out marketing, I'm happy to do that.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Adam. Have a great day.